Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a scenario that I think literally every single person listening has experienced.
Oh, I'm sure we all have a few of those.
Right. So you are stuck in traffic, dead stop. You look one lane over, and that lane is moving
Of course it is.
always. So you signal, you struggle, you finally merge into that moving lane, and the absolute second you get there, brake lights. It stops completely, and the lane you just left starts moving.
The classic lane change doom loop. It's infuriating.
Exactly. Or you're at the grocery store, right? And you pick the shortest line, but the person in front of you needs a price check on 12 different items and then decides to pay in pennies.
While the line next to you is just flying by.
Yeah. The person who got in line after you is already walking out the door. It's that sinking feeling of, why me?
It's the universal feeling of just being completely out of sync with the world.
Right. And we usually chalk this up to randomness. We say, well, that's just bad luck. Or conversely, we see someone who always seems to, I don't know, get the green lights, always wins the raffle, always finds the $20 bill on the sidewalk. And we say, wow, they are so lucky.
But the underlying assumption there is that luck is chaos.
Right.
It's a roll of the cosmic dice. You get a royal flush, or you get a handful of nothing, and you have absolutely zero control over it.
That's the prevailing worldview, right?
Right.
Randomness rules everything.
Pretty much. But today, we are challenging that head on.
We are. We're asking, is luck actually a skill? Is it something you can learn, cultivate, and maybe even manufacture?
Yeah.
Because the source material we are covering today claims that luck is not random chaos at all.
Not even a little bit.
It claims luck is an energy. And if you have the right recipe, you can brew it, bottle it, and essentially drink it like a potion to change your entire reality.
It is a radical premise. We are looking at liquid luck. The Good Fortune Handbook by Joseph Gallenberger, Ph.D., and I love that you use the word recipe because that is exactly how he frames it. He argues that we can be alchemists of our own lives.
Now, before the skeptics out there turn this off, thinking we're about to dive into, crystal healing or fairy dust, we really need to pause and look at the author's bio. Because this isn't written by some mystic living in a cave on a mountain.
No, not at all. And that is what makes this book so compelling. Dr. Gallenberger is a clinical psychologist. He has 30 years of experience as a therapist.
He's a man of science.
He is. He understands the human mind, he understands dysfunction, and he understands the actual mechanisms of healing. He's dealt with trauma, depression, anxiety, the heavy stuff.
So he's deeply grounded in the clinical world.
Very much so. But, and here's the pivot, he didn't just stay in the clinic. He began investigating something called psychokinesis, or PK.
Okay, let's define that for everyone. PK. We're talking about influencing matter with the mind, right? Like the Matrix.
Yeah. In a sense, yes. We are talking about the ability of human consciousness to impact physical reality. And he's not just theorizing about it in an armchair, he's been researching it for decades.
What kind of research?
We are talking about bending metal spoons with mental energy, sprouting seeds in your hand in a matter of minutes, influencing random number generators in computers, even lighting up light bulbs without a power source.
I mean, that sounds impossible, but he's approaching this as a scientist.
He is. He's looking for the variables. What state of mind allows this to happen? What emotional energy is required? He treats it like an experiment. And the most interesting part of his research is where he takes it. He moves out of the sterile university lab and into a place that most scientists wouldn't dare touch with a 10-foot pole.
Las Vegas.
The ultimate laboratory. He runs these workshops called Inner Vegas Adventures.
Inner Vegas. That sounds like a wild trip.
It is, but not in the way you might think. I want to be very clear here. Dr. Gallenberger is not teaching gambling addiction. He's not teaching people how to count cards or beat the house edge using math. He uses the casino as a classroom for immediate biofeedback.
That's a fascinating reframe. Using a casino as a biofeedback machine.
Think about it. In your normal life, let's say you decide to change your attitude. You wake up and say, I'm going to be more positive at work today. You go in, you smile, you work hard. But when do you actually see the results of that energy shift?
Maybe in 6 months, maybe your annual review, or, maybe never if your boss is checked out.
Exactly. The feedback loop in the real world is agonizingly slow. You can't tell if your energy shift is actually working because the data points are just too far apart. But in a casino,
it's instant.
It is instant. You set your intention, you align your energy using the techniques we're going to discuss, and you roll the dice. You know within 3 seconds if you are aligned or if you are off.
Right. If you win, you're connected to the flow. If you lose, your energy is blocked somewhere.
It's high-stakes feedback. It cuts through the delusion. You can't fake it in a casino. If you are secretly anxious or fearful, the dice will reflect that. So he uses this hyper-responsive environment to teach people how to manage their energy in real time.
So the mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. We are going to decode the recipe for this liquid luck. We're going to look at the specific psychological and energetic ingredients he says are required to change your reality. And we're going to give you the practical tools, the mental exercises that you can use, well, immediately. You don't have to fly to Vegas to do this.
And we should mention the core of this book revolves around a specific meditation he developed. And he makes a very bold promise about it.
What's the promise?
He claims this exercise was designed to be effective in less than 1 hour's time.
1 hour. That's aggressive. Usually personal development books tell you to practice for 90 days before you see a shift.
I know, it sounds like a late-night infomercial claim. Get rich in 1 hour. But he shares an origin story that backs it up, and it's quite grounding. He was consulting for a design engineer. This was a very logical, left-brained guy who had been stuck on a complex hardware and software interface problem for 2 years.
2 years. I'd absolutely lose my mind.
Imagine the frustration. 2 years of hitting a wall. The project is stalled. Money is bleeding out. The pressure is mounting. The engineer is completely blocked. Gallenberger suggests this liquid luck meditation. The engineer does it takes about 40 minutes, and immediately after opening his eyes, he knows the solution.
Just like that.
He goes straight to his computer, codes it, and it works perfectly.
After 2 years of failure.
Immediately. So we aren't talking about magic in the sense of breaking the laws of physics. We are talking about unblocking the mind so it can access solutions that are already there, waiting in the ether.
Okay, I'm sold. If it can fix a 2-year engineer's block, I want to know what's in this potion. So let's unpack the concept. Why does he call it liquid luck? Why use the potion metaphor?
This is really important. Gallenberger asks you to use visualization. He wants you to imagine yourself as a wizard or an alchemist in a beautiful sanctuary. You are holding a glass container, a vial, or a goblet, and the goal is to fill this container with a sippable energy.
Why not just say, think about luck? Why bring in the vial and the wizard stuff?
Because the brain loves metaphors. When you try to think about luck logically, your left brain, the skeptic, the critic gets involved. It says, luck isn't real, or you don't deserve this. But when you play a game, when you say, I am a wizard brewing a potion, you bypass the critical factor completely. You speak directly to the subconscious.
It's like tricking the guard at the gate.
Precisely. It's a playful bypass. If you try to force luck with logic, you get stuck. If you play with it like a child making a mud pie or a wizard making a potion, you open up. But a potion is only as good as its ingredients, and Gallenberger is very specific about what goes into this vial. You can't just fill it with wanting.
Right, because wanting usually feels like lacking. So let's get into the recipe. Ingredient number 1, happiness and grounding.
This is the foundation, and he combines them in a very interesting way.
Usually when people talk about grounding, I think of yoga teachers telling me to feel my roots.
Right.
Or, standing barefoot in the dirt. It usually feels very serious. But he defines it differently.
He redefines grounding as being happy to be here.
Here, meaning existence.
Yes, here on Earth, here in this body, here in this exact moment. And he argues that this is actually the hardest step for most people.
Why is it so hard to be happy to be here?
Because for many of us, here is uncomfortable. We have chronic pain, or we have debt, or we have stress, or we have trauma. So we live slightly out of body. We distract ourselves with our phones, we dissociate, we live in the past, or we obsess over the future. We are basically checking out of the hotel because we don't like the room service.
That's a great way to put it. We are absent tenants in our own lives.
Exactly, and Gallenberger's point is simple. If you are not fully inhabiting your body, you can't be a strong anchor for manifestation. You have to be the lightning rod that pulls the luck in. If the lightning rod is unplugged or wandering around down the street, the lightning can't strike.
So if you're trying to manifest a new car or a new job, but deep down you sort of hate being alive or you're uncomfortable in your own skin, the signal is just weak.
It's static. The universe can't find you. He mentions the nun study to back this up scientifically. This is a famous longitudinal study, very well respected in psychology. Researchers looked at autobiographical essays written by nuns in the 1930s when they were just joining the convent.
And nuns are great for studies because they live very similar lives, right?
Right. Same diet, same environment, same healthcare. It controls the variables beautifully. The researchers analyzed these essays for emotional content. Then they looked at how long these women lived. The nuns who wrote cheerful, happy, optimistic essays lived significantly longer. We're talking decades longer than those who wrote neutral or unhappy essays.
So happiness literally kept them grounded in their bodies for decades longer.
It anchored them to life. The unhappiness, the ambivalence, it signaled to the body, I don't really want to be here. And the body eventually said, okay, message received, let's pack it up.
That is profound. So step one isn't, I want to win the lottery. Step one is, I actually enjoy the fact that I exist.
Yes, and he suggests a practical exercise for this. It's not complex, it's simply affirming, I am happy to be here, and then immediately connecting with a physical sensation.
Give me an example of how you do that.
Take a shower, but don't just stand there planning your day or arguing with your boss in your head. Feel the hot water. Smell the soak. Enjoy the sensation of warmth on your skin, or look at a sunset. Don't just glance at it and take a photo for Instagram. Look at the colors. Let them hit your retina. Feel the awe.
It's about sensuality.
In the broadest sense, yes. Loving the physical experience of the world. Once you have that foundation of happiness, true, I am glad to be in this body feeling, you add the second ingredient, gratitude.
The attitude of gratitude creates the space for grace. I think I've seen that on a bumper sticker, but let's unpack it because he takes it deeper.
It's a cliche for a reason, but Gallenberger flips the script on how we usually use it. Most people think gratitude is a reaction. Something good happens, I find a parking spot, I get a raise, and then I say thank you.
Cause and effect. The good thing causes the gratitude.
Gallenberger says gratitude is a generator. You feel it first, and that emotion generates the good thing.
But that feels a bit fake, doesn't it? How do I feel grateful when my car just broke down and I'm late for work?
That is the ultimate challenge. If you only feel grateful for external things going your way, you are a slave to circumstance. He suggests looking inward. He uses the miracle symphony analogy.
I loved this part of the book. It really put things in perspective for me.
He points out that your body is a symphony orchestra of 50 trillion cells. 50 trillion. That number is incomprehensible. And they're playing the complex music of life 24/7. They're repairing DNA, fighting off viruses, digesting your breakfast, pumping blood, and they do it all without you having to manage them.
Right, if I had to manually control my liver enzymes, I'd be dead in 5 minutes.
We all would. If you can stop and just appreciate the sheer mechanical miracle that your heart beats without a command, that your breath happens automatically, you enter a state of profound gratitude.
It makes my complaints about slow Wi-Fi seem pretty petty when I think about my 50 trillion cells working overtime to keep me alive.
Exactly. It shifts you from what am I lacking to look at how much is already working perfectly. It resets the baseline. And he suggests a very actionable tip here. Write a thank you letter, but not to a friend or family member.
Who do we write to?
A company or a service person. He mentions writing to his garbage collection service.
The garbage collector. That is so unexpected.
Think about it, though. The garbage collector is entirely invisible to us until they miss a pickup. Then we are furious. We never notice when they do it right. He wrote them a letter saying, "Thank you for keeping my life sanitary and clean. I appreciate your reliability."
I bet that blew their minds at the sanitation department.
And sure it did. It grounds the gratitude in the real world. It acknowledges the invisible support systems that hold our lives together. Now, once you're happy and grateful, you're ready for ingredient number 3. Abundance.
And we're not just talking about money here.
No, the money is certainly a form of abundance, but abundance means overflowing fullness, health, love, time, energy. The enemy here is the chattering monkey mind.
Oh, I know the monkey mind. That's the voice at 3 a.m.
What does it say to you?
Oh, you know. You didn't save enough for retirement. You're wasting your life. Look at your neighbor's new car. You were falling behind.
It is the absolute voice of scarcity. And we have to realize our culture is a machine perfectly designed to amplify that voice. Advertising is literally engineered to tell you that you are lacking something so that you'll buy a product to fill the hole. If you felt fully abundant, you wouldn't need to buy the new phone or the fancy watch.
So feeling abundant is almost an act of rebellion against capitalism.
In a way, yes. Gallenberger wants us to look at nature to see true abundance. Look at the stars. There aren't just a few dozen stars. There are billions. Look at a tree. It doesn't produce just enough leaves to survive. It produces thousands upon thousands. The universe is naturally abundant. Scarcity is a man-made construct.
He has a great affirmation for this. I invite prosperity for the sheer pleasure of it.
I love the word pleasure there. Not I invite prosperity because I'm terrified of being homeless. Fear constricts your energy. Pleasure opens it up. He uses a visualization of an abundance waterfall.
Walk us through that visualization.
Imagine standing under a massive, warm waterfall. But it's not water. It's a cascade of blessings. Money, health, joy, opportunities, it's just crashing over you. You aren't struggling to get a little cup of water from a dry well. You are standing in a deluge.
It changes your whole posture, doesn't it? You
No.
go from grasping to just receiving.
Exactly. You just stand there and let it hit you.
Okay, so we're happy, we're grateful, and we're standing in an abundance waterfall. Ingredient number 4 is compassion.
This creates the vital connection to others. Compassion comes from the Latin roots, meaning to suffer with or to love together with.
He brings in some hard science here from the Heart Math Institute, right?
Yes, heart math is fascinating. They study the physiology of the heart-brain connection. They found that when you feel genuine compassion, your heart rate variability, your HRV changes, it becomes coherent, forming a smooth, rhythmic sine wave on a monitor.
And that coherence affects the rest of the body.
Massively. It lowers cortisol, which is the stress hormone. It releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. And it boosts DHEA, the vitality hormone. Compassion isn't just a nice moral idea. It is a literal physiological performance enhancer.
He also attacks the idea of survival of the fittest in this section.
He argues that survival of the fittest, the idea that life is a brutal cage match, is a total misunderstanding of nature. He says nature's prime directive is actually for the good of all. Trees share nutrients through underground fungal networks. Wolves hunt in cooperative packs. Cooperation is just as fundamental to evolution as competition.
But the hardest part of compassion, he says, isn't being nice to others, it's being nice to ourselves.
Self-compassion. This is the massive stumbling block for most people. We talk to ourselves in ways we would never, ever talk to a friend.
Oh, absolutely, you idiot. Why did you do that? You're so lazy. You'll never get this right.
It's purely abusive. If you had a roommate who followed you around all day and talked to you like that, you'd kick them out. But we let that voice live rent-free in our heads. Gallenberger says we need to treat ourselves as a most honored guest in your own heart.
That is such a beautiful image. If an honored guest spilled wine on your carpet, you wouldn't scream at them. You'd say, oh, it's completely fine. Let's just clean it up.
Exactly. You'd offer grace. If you are constantly beating yourself up, you are creating massive energetic resistance. Luck can't flow through a clenched fist, and it certainly can't flow through a mind that hates itself, which leads directly into the most powerful ingredient, love.
Ingredient number 5. And he's not talking about romance novels or rom-coms here.
No, he's talking about love as a fundamental force of physics. He says love is the strongest energy for psychokinesis. It's stronger than willpower. It's stronger than intense focus.
So you can't just grit your teeth and will the spoon to bend. You have to love it.
In a way, yes. You have to connect with it. He distinguishes between eros, which is romantic love, and agape, which is unconditional spiritual love. He posits that at the absolute base level of reality, consciousness and love might actually be the exact same thing.
That's a huge concept. Consciousness equals love.
It suggests that the fabric of the universe is inherently benevolent. He talks about the heart as a transducer of consciousness.
A transducer, like in electronics.
Exactly like electronics. A transducer converts one form of energy into another. He believes the heart converts this universal consciousness field into human intuition. When your heart is coherent, when it's filled with love, your intuition spikes.
Yeah.
In his casino workshops, people in this state often literally know the dice roll before it happens.
It's like love tunes your internal radio to the station where the luck is broadcasting.
That's the perfect analogy. If you are in fear or anger, the radio is just static. If you are in love, the signal is crystal clear.
And then to amplify that signal even further, we add ingredient 6, praise.
Holy glee! That's the exact phrase he uses.
I love that. Holy glee.
Praise is very high vibration energy. It's different from gratitude. Gratitude is, thank you for this specific gift. Praise is, wow, look at this amazing universe. It's ecstatic. He shares a really quirky anecdote about cricket sounds to illustrate this.
The cricket chorus. I actually looked this up after reading the source notes. It is wild.
Tell the listeners because it's hard to believe.
If you take a recording of regular crickets chirping, and you slow it down significantly to match a human lifespan scale, it doesn't sound like bugs anymore. It sounds exactly like a human choir singing in a massive cathedral. It's this beautiful, harmonic, hallelujah.
Gallenberger uses that as a metaphor. He says all of creation is constantly singing a song of praise. The trees, the rocks, the crickets. When we join that and we stop judging reality as bad or wrong and start praising the perfection of the universe's order, We align with the highest possible flow.
But that's incredibly hard. It's hard to praise the mess. It's hard to praise a flat tire or a lost job.
It is the ultimate alchemy, turning the lead of judgment into the gold of praise. If you can look at a massive problem and say, I praise the solution that is coming, rather than complaining about the problem itself, you change the dynamic instantly. You stop being a victim of your life and start being a co-creator of it.
And finally, the last additive. Ingredient 7, luck itself.
He explicitly adds good fortune to the vial as the final touch. But this is where he really has to address the blockers. Why aren't we lucky naturally?
Right. If the universe is so abundant and loving, why are we all struggling so much?
He identifies 3 main blocks. First, the deeply ingrained belief that luck is random, which his PK research disputes entirely. Second, the belief that it's somehow bad to be lucky.
The old Puritan work ethic.
Exactly. No pain, no gain. If you didn't suffer for it, it's not valid. We have a deep cultural program that says ease is suspicious and hard work is the only noble path.
And the third block.
The belief that we simply don't deserve it. Guilt.
He shares a really personal story about this, doesn't he? Being called Mr. Lucky.
It's a very touching moment of vulnerability in the book. When he was a kid, his brothers teased him, calling him Mr. Lucky because things just came easily to him. He would win games without trying. He would get opportunities out of nowhere.
And instead of enjoying it, he felt bad.
He felt terribly guilty. He felt like he was cheating the system or that he hadn't worked as hard as his brothers to earn their love. So subconsciously, to protect his relationship with his family, he blocked his own luck. Years later, during his research in the casino, if a dealer casually called him Mr. Lucky, he would immediately start losing.
His subconscious literally said, oh no, Mr. Lucky means you're bad, shut the luck down.
Exactly. He had to fully resolve that childhood guilt to realize that his winning didn't actually take anything away from anyone else before he could start winning again.
That leads us perfectly into section 3 of the outline, clearing the blocks. Because we all have that guilt. We all have that internal voice saying, I shouldn't have this, it's too much. He has a visualization to fix this, and he calls it the wood chipper.
This is one of my absolute favorite tools in the entire book because it is so visceral. It's not just sitting around thinking positive. It involves active destruction.
Walk us through it. How do we do it?
Step 1, you write a list. Write down everything you feel guilty about. Every single thing. The time you are mean to your sister in 3rd grade, the money you wasted on a bad investment, the opportunities you completely missed. Also write down every way you feel unlucky. I never win anything. I'm always late. Get it all out of your head and onto physical paper.
Okay, so the list is done, and it's probably a very long list for most of us.
Step 2. You close your eyes and visualize a massive tree. This is your abundance tree. It represents your life force. And right next to it, you visualize a heavy-duty industrial wood chipper. You know, the kind of big yellow engine, deafening noise, spinning blades.
I can hear the roar just thinking about it.
Step 3. You take that list, and in the visualization, you see the items on the list as dead, heavy branches, and you feed them into the chipper. You imagine picking up that guilt, that shame, that bad luck identity and shoving it straight into the machine. You hear the loud crunch, you see the chips flying everywhere, you smell the fresh wood sap.
You are literally destroying the structure of the guilt.
You are breaking up the frozen negative energy. But here is the crucial key. You don't just destroy it and walk away.
What do you do with the chips?
Step 4. You take that mulch, the chips that used to be your guilt, and you spread them around the base of the abundance tree. You use that old destructive guilt as fertilizer for new growth.
That is brilliant. You aren't just trying to delete the past, which is impossible. You're using it to fuel the future.
Precisely. In physics, energy cannot be destroyed, only changed. If you just try to repress guilt, it stays exactly where it is, blocking your flow. If you put it in the wood chipper, it becomes fuel. It transmutes the energy completely.
So we've brewed the potion with our 7 ingredients. We've cleared the blocks using the wood chipper. Now let's talk about the mechanics of how this actually alters the brain. He talks a lot about binaural beats and hemisync.
Yes, this ties directly back to his extensive work with the Monroe Institute, which is world famous for consciousness research. Hemisync stands for hemispheric synchronization. It uses specialized sound technology.
How does it actually work in your ears?
If you put on headphones and I play a tone of 100 hertz in your left ear and a slightly different tone of 104 hertz in your right ear, your brain can't actually hear both separate tones at once. It integrates them and creates a wavering phantom tone of 4 hertz right inside your head.
And what does that 4 hertz frequency do?
It entrains your brain waves. It forces the left and right hemispheres of your brain to synchronize and work together. Usually in our day-to-day lives, we are highly dominant in our left brain logic, ego, linear time, constant worry. This audio technology quiets that left brain chatter and allows the right brain intuition, creativity, the connection to the big picture to finally come online.
He mentions something called Focus 12.
That's a specific term from the Monroe Institute. It refers to a state of expanded awareness. It's a state where your physical body is asleep or deeply relaxed, but your mind is wide awake and hyper-aware. But you aren't aware of the room you're in, you're aware of things beyond the standard physical senses.
That's the state where the design engineer solved his 2-year hardware problem, right?
Exactly. The engineer stopped thinking about the problem with his limited, frustrated left brain and used Focus 12 to expand his awareness beyond the problem into the quantum field where the solution already existed.
So the actual Liquid Luck meditation track that Gallenberger provides uses these sounds to put you into that state.
Yes, it's a guided meditation backed by this specific audio technology to massively speed up the process. That's how he gets that bold 1-hour result. The audio does the heavy lifting of quieting the brain so you don't have to meditate like a monk for 20 years to get there.
Okay, so you drink the mental potion, you listen to the tracks. What are the signs that it's actually working in the real world? He talks about synchronicity and serendipity.
These are your dashboard indicators. Synchronicity is a highly meaningful coincidence. You think of a friend you haven't seen in 10 years, and your phone rings, and it's them. That's a wink from the cosmos, as he calls it.
And serendipity.
Serendipity is finding something incredibly valuable that you weren't even looking for. You go to a used bookstore for a quick book, and a book falls off the shelf onto your foot, and it's a book on investing that completely changes your financial life.
I want to share the just pull over story from the book because this is honestly my favorite anecdote in the whole text. It's so relatable.
It's hilarious and profound at the same time. So a university professor, someone very logical and academic, is listening to the Liquid Luck track in her car on the way to work.
Which, by the way, he specifically says don't do if the tracks make you drowsy.
Right, disclaimer noted. But she's awake, she's driving, and she's on a 1-lane country road. And she gets stuck behind a painfully slow driver. Now, the old version of her would have been absolutely fuming. Tailgating, checking her watch, blood pressure spiking.
The classic survival mode reaction. Get out of my way, I'm going to be late.
Right. But she's in this deep, liquid luck state from the audio. She's feeling happy, grateful, abundant. So she decides to just test it out. She politely asks the universe, just in her own head, would you please just pull over?
And what happened?
Instantly, the car turns on its signal and pulls completely off onto the shoulder. She passes right by.
You could just chalk that up to coincidence, though.
You could, but then she catches up to the very next slow car. She asks again, how about you pull over too? They immediately pull over. Then she gets stuck behind a massive, slow-moving construction truck. It turns right immediately. She hits a stretch of road near campus that is usually a complete traffic jam. It's totally empty. She arrives at her building, and right in front of the door, a prime parking spot is just waiting for her.
It sounds like a superpower, like she's parting the Red Sea of traffic.
But notice the energy she used. She wasn't forcing them off the road with rage. She wasn't fighting the traffic. She was stepping into a flow state where obstacles just gently moved out of her way.
It's the exact difference between fighting the current and becoming the current.
Exactly. When you drink the potion, you are aligning yourself with the path of least resistance. The universe actively wants to help you. You just have to stop fighting it at every turn.
Let's talk about some of the other real-world tales in the book, because the proof is in the pudding, or, the potion.
There's the amazing story of the 70-year-old and the 4-leaf clover. This person had spent their entire life looking for a 4-leaf clover. 70 years. They searched lawns, parks, fields, never found a single one. They started to deeply believe, I am just not the kind of person who finds magic in the world.
It became a complete self-fulfilling prophecy.
They listen to the Liquid Luck audio. They go for a casual walk. They look down at the grass. Boom! 4-leaf clover staring right at them.
It seems so small, it's just a little clover. But for that person, it broke a lifelong entrenched pattern.
It completely shattered the core belief that I can't find it. It proved that the luck-finding mechanism in their brain had finally been switched on.
Then there's the lost ring story.
A husband buys his wife a beautiful, expensive ruby and gold ring. She loves it, but then it disappears. Lost for 5 whole years, They turn the house upside down. They check everywhere. It's gone. He assumes it's gone forever.
5 years is a long time. You definitely give up hope at that point.
He starts doing the liquid luck meditations. Suddenly, out of nowhere, he has a weird, totally irrational urge to go dig in the glove compartment of an old car they barely even drive anymore.
Why there? Why then?
That's the mystery of intuition. The logic mind said, "We checked that car years ago. Don't waste your time." The intuitive right mind said, "Look again right now." He goes out, looks in the glove box, and buried under some old maintenance papers, there it is, the ring.
That gave me chills reading it. It's like the item was just waiting for him to tune into the exact right frequency to see it.
And then there's the story of what Gallenberger calls inconvenient luck. This was a student who desperately wanted to retake a high-level currency trading class.
This is a really great lesson in trusting the timing of things.
The class cost $2,500. He couldn't afford it. He just didn't have the money. But he did the meditation. He felt happy to be here. He felt abundant. And he just felt a sudden urge to email the training company to say, hello, no agenda, no begging for a discount, just a friendly check-in.
Just saying hi.
They wrote back almost immediately and said, hey, funny you wrote to us today. We have a class starting tomorrow morning. We have exactly one empty seat left. We'd rather have it filled by a returning student than sit empty. Want it for free.
Just like that.
Yeah.
A $2,500 gift drops in his lap.
Just like that. But here's the catch, and this leads to a really important concept. The dragons. The class started the very next day. It was highly inconvenient. It required immediate drastic action. He had to clear his whole schedule instantly.
Right, he calls this dragons guarding treasure.
Yes. This is a crucial concept for anyone listening who wants to try this. Whenever you start manifesting big changes, fear almost always rears its head. He calls that fear a dragon.
And we tend to interpret fear as a stop sign, right? We say,
Yeah.
oh, I'm scared, I shouldn't do this. Or, oh no, a blockage, the potion isn't working.
That Gallenberger says the dragon is actually a massive sign that you are close to the treasure. If you are walking down a path and you see a fire-breathing dragon, it means the gold is right behind it. If there is no dragon, you're probably just walking in safe, familiar circles.
So the dragon is a landmark. It means you're doing it right.
Correct. It means you are finally pushing your boundaries. But here's the key. You do not fight the dragon.
Why not? In all the fairy tales, the knight slays the dragon.
In fairy tales, yes. In metaphysics, no. Fighting creates resistance. It creates noise in your energy field. It validates the fear. If you fight the fear, you are giving it your energy and making it stronger. Instead, he says, you should sing it to sleep.
Sing it to sleep. That is so poetic.
You use the song of love we talked about earlier. You acknowledge the fear. You say, I see you, fear. Thank you for trying to protect me. Because ultimately, that's all fear, is a misguided ego protection mechanism. Then you soothe it with that agape love energy. You melt the resistance rather than smashing it with a sword.
That is such a gentler, smarter way to approach life. Instead of battling your internal demons every day, you're just lulling them into a nap so you can quietly walk past and grab the gold.
It's incredibly efficient. Fighting takes immense energy. Singing takes joy. And remember, joy is the grounding force of the whole potion.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's try to synthesize all of this for the listener. We've got the core ingredients: happiness, gratitude, abundance, compassion, love, praise, and luck. We've got the methods, the potion visualization, the wood chipper to clear guilt, the HemiSync audio. We've got the amazing success stories. But for the listener who is maybe sitting in traffic right now, feeling a bit unlucky, feeling like the world is constantly against them, what is their first step?
The main takeaway is that manifestation isn't about force. It's not about white-knuckling your way through life or pure grit. It's about flow. It's about meticulously managing your own energy. Luck is a skill of perception. It's about tuning your internal radio to a frequency where good things are constantly broadcasting. You have to cultivate happiness, gratitude, and love as your baseline state, not your reaction state.
Don't wait to be happy until you win. Be happy first, and then you win.
Exactly. The emotion has to precede the event. And I'd leave the listeners with this final provocative thought. We live in what Gallenberger calls a free choice universe. It reflects our consistent thoughts and feelings back to us like a giant mirror.
And unfortunately, we usually choose to look at the ugly parts of the reflection.
He points at a staggering statistic. At any given time, less than 0.1% of the world is actually at war. Yet if you watch the nightly news, you'd think it's 99%. We obsess over the negative. We rehearse it in our minds. We prepare for the worst.
We're constantly pre-disastering our own lives.
We absolutely are. But what if you treated yourself with the exact same unconditional kindness you treat a beloved pet? He has this great line in the book. We all need to hear good dog many times a day.
Good dog. I think we could all use a lot more of that simple validation.
What if you welcomed yourself as the most honored guest in your own life? How drastically would your daily luck change if you stopped expecting the other shoe to drop and started genuinely expecting the next miracle?
That is the real challenge. So
Yeah.
try it. Be the alchemist today. Visualize that beautiful glass vial filled with happiness, gratitude, abundance, compassion, love, praise, and a heavy dash of pure luck. Drink it down and just see what happens in the next 24 hours.
You might just find a parking spot, or a lost ruby ring, or an entirely new way of living.
And if you do, let us know.
Yeah.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Sip the potion, everyone.
We'll see you next time.